To cap off Tudor's successful end of 2024, there is one watch that surprisingly we have barely heard anything about. Something that's very unlike Tudor is that when they're celebrating an anniversary, quite a significant milestone, and creating a specialist watch of sorts, they do love shouting about it from the rooftops, and the leaks have been out for some time now, at least a month. Some have even managed to get this watch in hand, and of course I'm talking about the next generation Harrods Edition Black Bay. Knowing my luck and the way it's been going lately, this watch might be announced the week I put this video out, I don't know. If it doesn't, well, we have a lot to talk about. Some conspiracy theories, but also discussing its design and the details involved. So why haven't we heard much about it? Well, it is actually a limited edition, celebrating the 175th anniversary of Harrods, based in London. I'm sure you've heard of it before. But I also think because the leaks of this watch were predominantly based on renders, everybody took it with a pinch of salt. As far as I know, barely any media outlets have been discussing this watch, probably for that reason. So naturally, I can step in and make these renders look official and believable. So let's have some fun breaking down what we know. And I'll also add some design input on how I would have liked to have seen this watch ideally. And maybe in some way I could lay down some ideas that could further perpetuate where the green dial, green bezel variant of the Black Bay is going to go into the future. So when the original Harrods Edition launched in 2017, I mean that is eons ago in watch years. How many years is that? 8 years, give or take? Folks went mad for it. And it was one of, if not the first Tudor watches to have that future collectible name assigned to it. Why it worked so well was because of the affiliation, because of the exclusivity. And we could also say that the colorway worked well with the Comet Submariner, the Hulk Submariner variants from Rolex. If you were a part of the watch hobby at this time, we remember how much the media was covering this piece, how much social media presence it had, the choice of green, which was quite a fresh novelty back then, the accent color used for the depth rating and the tip of the seconds hand. And it was the use of that olive colorway that sold it so well. Even into the early 2020s, this watch was selling for over retail, and collectors, they were enjoying them. But a lot has changed since then. The landscape has shifted a lot. We could say that production numbers from brands like Tudor have increased exponentially. The Black Bay is still a hot topic, but it's nowhere as exclusive as it was back then. There are just so many variations of this watch, and we continue to see more of them as the years go by. Not only that the Black Bay has evolved exponentially since then, now we have the 58, now we have next generation 41s with Meta certified movements, better bracelets, adjustable clasps. But when we look to limited editions, these pieces have also lost the pulling power that they used to have. Even though Tudor today is still trying to create exclusivity with these pieces. When we look to models like the Inter Miami Chronograph or that beautiful blue variant that they brought out this year. You see, my personal favorite that arrived from Tudor this year is the Pelagos GMT. In the FXD format, the typeface arrangement, the bezel usage, the colorway chosen, I think they absolutely nailed it. But I am in the minority with this choice, because the most well-received watch from Tudor this year is the Black Bay Monochrome. Carrying over from last year's Burgundy, this watch seems to address everything that we have wanted. It is the closest rendition of the Tudor Submariner that we have seen in a long time. And adding to that, it is also the simplest colorway we have seen on a Black Bay for over a decade. No uses of spot colors, accent colors, touches of blue, simple black, white, and silver. What we have also seen develop in the last few years are the choices of these sunburst dials. A brushed finish that plays in the light that adds a lot more of a premium feel, from blues to grays, black. And I think we can agree that after a decade of matte dials, nothing too exciting, this adds a nice dynamic edge, a more premium feel to the Black Bay collection. Doing far better than their competition, by the way. But it completes the presentation of the watch, now that we are seeing 5-link bracelets, a new micro adjust. Why the brief recap? Why did I sum up all of this? Well, the new generation Harrods Edition seems to be a watch that celebrates all of these new features. It's largely taking its inspiration from the Black Bay Monochrome at first, we would think. But for the first time with this range, it's marrying gilt with green. A black bezel insert with gilt accents. A gilt dial that has what we could say a sun-brushed olive look, but depending on the light, it gets a little bit extreme. In some lights, it's more of a brilliant apple green. Other lights, it looks like a urine green. And in others, it's very subdued. And to top it off, the crown is gold capped, as well as the teeth on the bezel. Now maybe you, like me, first seeing this watch, you feel like it's a Frankenstein's monster of parts. It does seem like a random assortment of things. To give it that tie-in relationship with the Harrods anniversary, it has a very elaborate engraving on the case back. And when we look to the seconds hand, we can see that there is a small signature of H inside it, which is a nice touch. Now we could say this watch was created to be more subdued because of its color choices. I do think the choice of black and green was conscious, where the dial of the first one was black, now the bezel is, and vice versa. But paired up this way, I just don't think it seems as effective. But then there is a lot of contradiction to this design as well. The fact that the 5-link bracelet doesn't have any elements of gold with it, which I think disconnects it from the case. The fact that the bezel insert doesn't have any through-line colorway with the dial. The one thing that is very complementary about this one and the original is the use of gold and the touches of green. And as we know, Tudor is no stranger when it comes to using this colorway. So the underlying question, why is it that we have heard nothing about this watch? Tudor is riding a very good wave at the moment. From their collaborations with so many sports, so many disciplines, from rugby, football, Formula One, yacht racing, the Marine Nationale, Dakar Rally, we tend to forget that one of their first official collaborations was with Harrods of London. And so while Tudor seems to be improving on their partnerships day in, day out, current news around Harrods in the media hasn't been all that good. We don't have to put our tin hats on to believe that Tudor doesn't necessarily want to be affiliated with the brand at this point in time. And maybe when this media coverage dies down, Tudor will find an opportunity to present this watch. Considering that we are in the Christmas period, this is December, Christmas and Harrods goes hand in hand in the UK. And I think not only the colorway of this watch, but what it represents as an anniversary piece, it's a pity that we haven't heard about it. And I think, like you, I can visualize how they would advertise this watch and how well it would work. But there is a downside to this piece. It is an actual limited edition. They only made 175 of them, so the belief goes. And most of them have already been given to the high-rolling customers at the Harrods store. So yes, Tudor is banking on exclusivity. They're banking on this being a true limited edition, and I guarantee that they're going to be very sought after on the second-hand market. So before wrapping up this video, I thought I would come up with an idea of what the next generation watch like this could look like for all of us. The choice of this dial and this colorway, it's too good to be ignored, and that's the reason why I'm making this video. I would have gold capped the center links of the 5-link bracelet. That's the first thing. And second, to connect the inspiration with the first generation Harrods edition, giving it a matte olive bezel insert. And this, I believe, if we strip it down slightly, we can have a closer look of what a green variant of this watch could look like for all of us to own. Not only have we recently seen Tudor step into their stride with new bracelets, new case form factors, Meta-certified movements, master chronometer rating, but in the case of this watch and other specialist Black Bay models, we are seeing how the dials are playing a role too. And next year, 3 years in a row with the Black Bay 41, we're going to see more exciting dials and color choices from the brand. And I would say that this green emerald look is definitely one to bookmark. It's fair to say that this watch is a notable improvement over the first generation Harrods edition. Is this the right direction it should be going? Do you believe in my conspiracy theory about this watch and the fact that we haven't heard about it? Or do you reckon because it's such a small batch of watches being produced, 175, that it doesn't need to be talked about? And thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch this video. See you in the next one.